Hello. Today I'll be leading you on a journey into analyzing how economic classes can be portrayed in film through the lens of auteur theory. We'll be comparing Parasite, a 2019 film directed by Bong Joon-ho, and Seven Samurai, a 1954 film by Akira Kurosawa. Although these films were created in different countries, different time periods, and even different genres, they both fall under the umbrella of the auteur film because their respective directors were both deeply involved in their creative processes. This allows us to interpret many aspects of these films in the context of their directors' creative choices. From the start, these two films show a stark contrast in their message and delivery, which is thanks mostly to their historical contexts. Seven Samurai depicts the struggles of a village of poor farmers to protect their crops from bandits. They do so by hiring a group of samurai, Japanese warriors of the highest class. The villagers have no money, meaning they must find samurai who are willing to work only for food, shelter, and the sense that they're doing the right thing. The upper and lower classes have to work together to achieve a common goal: defending the village. Through the cooperation of the samurai and farmers, Kurosawa critiques the harsh, structured class system of Japan at the time. On the other hand, Parasite also depicts the struggles of the lower class, following a poor family called the Kims in desperate need of a source of income. They lie and forge documents to secure themselves service jobs in the house of an exceedingly rich family, the Parks. Bong Joon-ho utilizes the Parks' ignorance and the Kims' elaborate lies to criticize the parasitic nature of modern capitalist society. In Seven Samurai, Kurosawa shows us the divide between the samurai warrior class and the peasant farmers through cinematography. The opening shots frame all the farmers together as they agonize over what to do. Their proximity is demonstrative of their suffering as a group and hits home the fact that they're all in the same boat: hungry, tired, and afraid. When Yohei and Rikichi go to the city to hire samurai, the majority of them are shown in high-compression, low-angle shots, which are intercut with the farmers' worried faces. One interesting fact is that Kurosawa worked as his own editor, further intertwining his mind with the creative process of his films. His use of low angles and cuts shows just how unapproachable and distant most of the samurai are, and their refusal when asked for help further illustrates their unwillingness to step across economic class boundaries. After being turned down, the farmers discover an older samurai cutting off his top knot in order to disguise himself and save a child. This hairstyle would have been indicative of his rank at the top of society, and seeing someone cut off a bun like this would have been preposterous at the time. His actions exhibit his willingness to step down and to help the lower class. Indeed, he's one of the few samurai with a big enough heart to lend his skills to the poor farmers, and later becomes pivotal in assembling the team that will protect them. In characterizing his actions as noble, Kurosawa promotes the idea that more people should be willing to act like him. Likewise, Bong Joon-ho uses his camera to focus our attention on the disparity between the 1% and the poor. The Kims live in a semi-basement apartment at a dead end, forcing them to look up at the rest of society, and leaving them vulnerable and uncomfortable. Their struggle for basic commodities like internet connection is emphasized by Ki-woo and Ki-jung holding their phones to the ceiling in desperation. The motif of being forced to strive upward enforces their position at the bottom of society. Conversely, the Park family is well off and lives in an extravagant mansion at the crest of a hill. Their massive yard is shown off in an extreme long shot, which emphasizes the size of their home and their wealth. Close-ups of their intercom system contrast the security of their lives with the vulnerability of the Kims. Ki-woo even has to walk up a stairway and a long ramp to get there, reinforcing the Park's physical placement above the Kims. This symbolism isn't a mistake, and it's Bong's way of showing us the physical consequences of capitalism, valuing the lives of one family more highly than the other. In both of these films, economic classes are separated by the stark difference in their living situations. The interactions between economic classes begin to highlight how different these films are. Akira Kurosawa employs skillful screenwriting in Seven Samurai to induce an overall sense of cooperation between the samurai and farmers, although they must overcome their differences in order to work with each other. When the samurai arrive at the village, the farmers all hide in their houses because, as Kurosawa has previously shown us, all they've ever known is fear. One of the samurai, Kikuchiyo, grew up as a farmer and serves as an unofficial intermediary between the two groups. He breaks the ice by sounding the alarm for bandits. The farmers come running out, but when they realize there's no danger, Kikuchiyo points out their hypocrisy and chews them out for only relying on the samurai for protection. This serves as a bonding experience for everyone, and is the first step toward the villagers truly trusting the samurai. Kurosawa likely chose to include a scene like this to show that it wasn't easy for these two groups to get along at first, simply because of differences in which family they were born into. Society has encouraged them to feel separated, demonstrating the negative effects of the harsh class system in Japan. Although tensions are high in the beginning, the farmers are generally very truthful with the samurai. They lay out their true intentions because they want someone who will empathize with their situation, and they're honest about the fact that they can only pay in food, despite knowing it'll lessen their chances of finding a samurai. This makes it easier for them to be deceitful, but the farmers still choose to tell the truth. This concept evidences Kurosawa's message that even though there will be obstacles, people should still try to work together. Parasite directly opposes the honesty and cooperation seen in Seven Samurai through the elaborate lies of the Kim family. The plot is forwarded by their choice to seize the opportunity and prey upon the rich Parks. They forge documents and lie about their names and backgrounds in order to secure positions as personal tutors, drivers, and housemaids in the Park household. Almost nothing they say to the Park family is said in truth. Through their actions, Bong Joon-ho isn't saying that the poor are evil. Rather, he's saying that the Kims are forced to use dubious methods because they have no other choice. If the Kims could make money honestly, they would, but nothing up until now has worked for them. In the same way the Kims are unable to make money and choose to feed off the rich family's wealth, the Parks are incompetent in basic things like cooking, cleaning, and driving, and choose to feed off the poor family's labor. Their entitlement and materialism is evidence of their apathy toward the labor of the poor families, which directly supports their livelihood. Through this mirrored plot, Bong Joon-ho is showing us how the consolidation of wealth in the top 1% can negatively affect the lives of the poor and, by consequence, negatively affect the lives of everyone. Instead of a mutual exchange, there's a cycle of parasitism in which both families feed off of one another. These films sharply contrast each other in their progression and rising action, as one depicts the eventual cooperation between rich and poor, and the other depicts a secretive and unspoken mutual hatred which only worsens as time goes on. One thing both movies do have in common is their brazen use of violence. Kurosawa uses violence to enforce the ultimate unity between the samurai and farmers. Being able to fight on the same side is a true show of brotherhood, and the battle against the bandits firmly cements the farmers and samurai as one team rather than separate groups. Kurosawa's use of violence generally unifies the two, and demonstrates their ability to look past one another's differences. By contrast, Bong Joon-ho utilizes violence to visually display the mounting hatred the families hold against each other in Parasite. In one scene, the Kims fight against the previous housemaid, who they had fired using their influence over the Parks. Their shared position in the lower class represents the fact that this is Bong's way of showing us that when all the wealth is consolidated in the pockets of the rich, the working class are forced into conflict against one another, fighting for scraps while families like the Parks live a comfortable life. This isn't the end of the fighting though. At the film's climax, a bloodbath erupts at the spoiled Da-song's birthday party. Myung-hoon murders Ki-jung, and in turn Mr. Kim murders Mr. Park. Ultimately, the killings are an outlet for both families' inability to empathize or to even consider each other's struggles, finalizing Bong's bleak view of capitalism and its effects. In the end, we're able to see two master directors' differing views on economic classes in society. Each director employs his own personal style to tell a story that communicates his own personal thoughts. Both Kurosawa and Bong Joon-ho use film as a means to share their views on society with other people. I think the success of each of these films is a testament to the fact that, no matter the country or time period, creative people will find a way to share their ideas with the world, and they'll do it their way. Kurosawa's screenwriting promotes cooperation and conversation between classes who were kept separate by stigma, and Bong's cinematography exposes the ugly underbelly of capitalism that we should be discussing as a society. No matter how they're portrayed, it's evident that the working class is suffering, that tensions between classes are high, and that if we don't do something, the consequences may be violent. Film is a mirror which reflects the current state of the world. It interests us because we feel connected to the plight of the main characters in some way. The fact that two legendary auteurs of film have both shown us the negativity of economic disparity despite their time difference should give society the hint that this problem is something that must be addressed. Thank you for watching.